fucked day, bro. But we came to chop it up, see what's good with everybody. Was the talk of the town is going down. When the curve, you heard me. On this sunny Sunday. And this is hot, bro. It's hot as fuck today. No lie. This shit hot as fuck. Let me just set this up real quick. But a pretty chill day today. But I just wanted to hop on, see what's good with everybody. Whoopsie. What did I do? Now, for those who are curious, I did drop a new video on this channel, right? Breaking down, the different groups and the differences between them that call the street its home, right? The groups that, tend to control and stroll. And on my other channel, I did, do some battle rap reactions for those who are, looking for new music, right? Or like Chicano rap. There's some probably rolas you probably never heard right there, right? Good stuff too. Good stuff. Good tracks. Bangers. And later on today, there will be another battle rap reaction coming. I know I've been putting a lot of them out. I recently been hit with all kinds of requests of tracks, right? So we're just trying to get them all out there, which was good, because we went a while without having actually not having anybody request for the northern side. I was getting them for the southern side, but not for the northerns, right? So it's like we were waiting for that because obviously we don't know no northern rappers or raps or songs or anything like that, right? It's just not something that I was too familiar with, being, who we are and where we're from, right? Because I didn't scope out, these individuals' music until I started my channel. And, people were telling me, and, so I'm very new to their music as well. Which is good stuff. They have a lot of talented individuals, very talented. Anybody that says otherwise is just a hater. What's cracking lacking? What's good? I got ¿qué? Yumi. Soy latino. Pues soy mexicano yo. What's good, Shadow? What's cracking lacking, Derek? You're getting yourself into. My love bug is definitely up in the building. Love you, baby. How come fools don't get hometown love? Like when it comes to like their rappers, when you come from the street world, your hometown is gonna be the town that is most likely not gonna love you. You tend to go at it with everybody in your side. So that's what it is. Gangs normally beef it with all the neighborhoods close to them. That's just the way it goes. Remember, in Southern California, it's run different. You get no Southside love down here. It doesn't exist. Southside love don't exist down here. It only exists on the internet and in music. What's cracking like it, my boy? Dashpool? Chilling on the night. Oh, you're off? That's right, homie. Gotta just chill. I like the new video you made. Clarifying the misconception. Oh, yeah. And, there's just a lot of different groups, but I think movies is the main one that tends to blur the lines. Movies and, documentaries that really don't have any idea are the ones that blur the lines, right? Or raffles. Yeah. It's because, normally they probably tend to go at it with everybody on their side. There's a whole lot of enemigos. Movies make it seem like street gangs, mafias, and cartels are all the same thing. Well, yeah, because their job is to make it look. Well, it is bad in a sense, right? It's a bad lifestyle, a lifestyle that nobody should want to join. But like I said, you don't have to lie in order to get that message across, right? As a matter of fact, it just makes it, worse if you lie, a los Crips. It was the Tekashi 69. Gumball. He said a los Crips. Shout out to everybody. Movies also make it seem like these gangs are forcing people to go on drive-bys. No, I don't think no movie has ever done that. Like forcing individuals to go and all that. I don't think so. I could be mistaken though, but I don't think none of those movies, had a scene like that though. Bro, the worst thing you want to do is having to force somebody to go with you to go do something, bro. That's like the worst idea, bro, ever. Like, bro, if I gotta force this individual to get in the car to go with us, bro, then I ain't going. Period. You know what I mean? As soon as we get pulled over or if we get caught or some shit, this motherfucker's spilling the bean. He's telling for sure, without a doubt. You get what I'm saying? So why the fuck would you want to take somebody like that for? That just would make no sense. Same way, like, why would you, they don't want to be from your neighborhood. Why would you just rush them in? Why would you force them to be from your neighborhood? If anything was to hit the fans or cops or whatever, this motherfucker's spilling the beans, bro. So why the fuck would you do that? It just doesn't make any sense, but people run with this kind of shit. Oh yeah, the gangs, they be forcing people, they be doing it like just give it the most smallest of thought, bro, and it's just like, but that shit doesn't even make any sense, my guy. You get what I'm saying? Of course, people that tell the ones that defect from the gangs and everything. Of course, they're gonna say that they were forced and everything like that. They're trying to save their own ass. That's why they tell it the way they tell it, bro. Gotta play the victim. Gotta get the sympathy. That way they're more reliable as a witness. Or as a victim, however you want to spin it. You know what I mean? And that's not just because, I'm hating on their decisions and stuff like that, but it's, I mean, come on, bro. Like, if you just break down, it just doesn't make any sense. Movies make it seem like these street gang leaders are promising the kids millions of dollars, gold, women. How are they going to be promising them that when they don't even have that? But see, the society had to see it that way because why else would these kids want to join, a life where you could die and go to jail? Like, they couldn't wrap their mind around the psychology and the emotional aspect of this, that there had to be a bribe involved. There had to be a promise of women and money, because how else would they have lured them to join their lifestyle? How else did they get these kids to comply with this behavior? Because the real answer and the real cold truth is something that people are just not willing to accept or handle, or they're not willing to look in the mirror, bro. Everybody always wants to take credit for the good things. Nobody ever wants to take credit for their mistakes. As soon as something good is happening, everybody's like, yeah, that was because of me and me. As soon as it's something bad, I don't know, his friends, them over there. No, it's got to be because of them. It's always a blame game. Because, like I said, it's really hard looking and owning up to that kind of shit. Who would have thought physically assaulting a child and verbally bashing the child on a day-to-day would lead to these kind of outcomes? It's like they never seen it. Like, they don't know how. Like, really? You don't know how? I know tough love works, bro. Sometimes these kids need a good ass whooping. Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep telling yourself that, bro. It's fine. That's why it's 2025 and these problems haven't gone nowhere. I know, but keep keep telling yourself that though, because I get it, bro. This form of punishment makes you feel better about the situation, right? Because you're blowing off steam. Therefore, you're only caring about how you feel, right? Not actually fixing the problem, right? But you just that's why people feel like whooping their asses is the method to actually use because they feel better, you know. Whenever they make a mistake, right, and then now they're just looking to make themselves feel better. Because if they actually sit down and have verbal conversations and try to get to the bottom of the problems, right, they don't feel like that's an like a punishment, right, or they don't get no like satisfaction that way. So so instead of actually fixing the problem, they rather satisfy how they feel in the moment. Because once you blow off steam, you feel better. But like I said, you will never fix a problem by coming with force, aggression, and violence. And that's just the facts of things. No problem has ever gotten fixed that way. It just builds up resentment. When people be like, no, there's been problems that have been fixed like that. No, it might have worked in the moment, but it built up resentment, and that resentment piled on, right? And then leading to the explosion after, right? So you didn't actually fix the problem. You actually just delayed the fall off, right? También hablas así, mira, como en español dice, o governments are the real cartels. Well, governments have done some scandalous stuff, a lot of scandalous stuff actually, but a lot of crazy shit. No lie, they have. Their hands are not clean. Nobody's hands are clean for that matter. Especially not the United States government, whose hands are probably the bloodiest of them all. And that's not me hating on well then go to a different country. No, no, bro. America's a great country. Don't get it twisted, right? Not to say that it hasn't done shit, that's foul, and doesn't mean that they don't still display those type of things, right? So don't get it twisted, bro. It's crazy. Like, just because yeah, you have freedom and everything like that doesn't mean that you don't have the right to call them out for their bullshit. No, bro. That doesn't excuse them. There's also some rappers who carry on the misconception, though. For example, the rapper Yo Gotti, whose name himself after John Gotti, or Crip, Main Street Mafia. Oh, like nicknames. But see, here's the thing, though. You have to keep this in mind. When individuals join gangs, is roughly the age of 13, 14, 15. That's the age that, or 12. That's the age that normally individuals get into gangs. All right. You don't. It's rare you have old individuals getting in, right? Because then that's just seen as weird. And like I said, those individuals don't even last. So normally these individuals are like in middle school, high school when they're joining these gangs. So they're still kids. They're still kids when they're choosing their nicknames and becoming, running around with these individuals. So the kid don't know no better, right? So the kid doesn't really have the knowledge like an OG, right? So to them, they're probably at home watching these movies, and that's where they grab the, like those kinds of like, oh, yeah, Young Guy was a gangster, so that's why they decide to give themselves those names, but not because they idolize the individuals, but because, they were naive, they were young and naive. You get what I mean? Because Young Gotti, cooperated, right? So it's like, why would you want to name yourself after somebody who cooperated? But see, at the time, these individuals don't know that kind of stuff, right? So I don't know better. I took a dump here. Again? You don't even respond. Who doesn't respond? Yo, Ninja, how you doing? Firme? How about yourself? Not movies, but I've seen documentaries of gang leaders who tell kids to carry out orders, or they will wipe the whole family out. I think it was on a MS. See, like I said, you have certain gangs that run like that, like groups like that, like MS, for example. Uh, but see, that's how they run their group, right? But to say now that all these groups run the same is not it's not right either, Um, and I can believe that maybe that's how they run their shit, especially in El Salvador, because even the guy who's from MS who was running with it down here when he went on Vlad, he said how they're structured here in America is different from how they're structured in El Salvador. Um, there's a disconnection, of how they see things or how they want to run things, um, you know. And like I said, that's just how it is. I'm a water type Pokemon. What type of Pokemon type are you? The Mexican type. uh, Listen, touch yourself. What the hell? Make America great again? Why would he have to make it great? I thought he made America great the first time, though. So is he now telling us that that was not true? Like, hey, Trump, I know you're still using "Make America Great Again," but like, I mean, so you're trying to say that the first time you didn't make it greater, or what's happening right here? I mean, you would think, the second time coming around, he would have said, like, let's keep making America great. So it's like, are you trying to tell us that you lied to us? Why do Titan crews follow the street code if they are not gang members? We have asked this before. Like I said, they still have how they want to run their circle, how they want to, you know, run their crew, pues. You know what I'm saying? Um, so I don't know. You would have to ask a tagger. uh, but that's how it is. Whenever it's kind of like when people make their own clubs, right? Their own car clubs or book club. They have rules or however they have it structured, right? But whenever they create the group, that's just how they wanna go about things, for whatever reasons that the ones who started it, have. That fool said stop yapping, ball ass. But this is what you. I mean, I doubt anybody would just want to watch me just sitting here quietly. Hey, the channel is optional, my guy. I'm not holding people against their will right here. Also, I have a video rendition. If you would make a long video, top 10 to 20 common misconception regarding people have about. Oh, I feel you. You look like a pedo. But see, it's not about how you look or what you think, but it's about if I am. You get me? So people may look like pedos, may act like a pedophile, but the only thing that matters is that person a pedophile? Is he truly a pedo? You know? So one thing I hate about religion is how they say that God is all loving, yet He's going to punish people who. Yeah, I know. I don't like to get into these topics because a lot of people tend to get offended for my opinions. I don't know why. It's not like I'm looking here to, I'm just sharing my point of view, right? But I yeah, I get 100 where you're coming from. I agree, 100. But but then again, I think it's because of other atheists who have fucked it up, right? With how they, how could I say, express their point of views, right? When they be like, "Oh, these fools are fucking idiots, and it's stupid that they believe in that. They're fucking dumb," you know. Like, I don't know about all that, right? Like, I let people, believe in whatever they choose to believe, right? I don't come in and make fun of them or discredit or humiliate. You get what I'm saying? It's like, okay, that's cool, bro. Like, more power to you, and if that's what helps you, then that's cool, bro. Like, it's all good. I just have my views, that are just different. But I don't ever try to push my views on anybody, right? Like, saying that I'm right and they're wrong, because how the fuck would I know, right? Like, no one truly knows until it's time to go, right? Then that's what we'll find out, and I could potentially be wrong, you know, and I'm aware of that, right? So that's why I just don't push my views on anybody. These are just my views. It's just how I see things. You know, like, I am aware that people are allowed to live however they want to live. It's their life. So if they want to choose to believe in whatever they want to choose to believe, then they go right ahead. You know, who am I to come and try to make them think and force them to try to live like me? What gives me that right? In my opinion, all Republicans and Democrats are yeah, same. I agree. You know, maybe there is some good in the bunch, but the fact that they stay quiet though is just like it's like you might as well just be by staying quiet. You might as well be agreeing with them. You know what I'm saying? And it's because they put their political party ahead of what's actually right. You know what I mean? Like I know that what the Republicans are saying, is right, or vice versa. I know what the Democrats are saying is right, but just because it goes against my party's views, I'm gonna have to side with my party. And it's like that is so fucking stupid. Like, these fools are right, but yet you're gonna disagree with them just because they're from the other party. When it's like that's not what a democracy is supposed to be. That's not even how these parties are supposed to be ran, because that's like how gangs run their shit, right? You don't agree with the ops. You don't side with the ops. You stay loyal to your side. You know what I mean? It's like, and it doesn't help that one side is red and one side is blue. I'm just saying. How the battle of those two colors never ends, huh? Red coats versus the blue coats. The North versus the South. Seems like it never ends. How those two colors have always been at odds, and those two sides have always been at odds. Wondering where these individuals got the idea for their behaviors and their colors and their sides and all of the shit and how it's ran. I don't know. You guys painted the way, no? Okay, led by example. Ideas got to come from somewhere. Elon Musk and billionaires like him are also full of shit. Well, no, there's some billionaires that are like probably cool, right? Not to say that they're all like that, because I don't truly know all of the billionaires. So, maybe there is some that are cool. But yeah, Elon Musk, yeah, he displays a lot of shady characteristic, right? There's a lot of shady shit that he does, but yeah, seems to be working for him, no? Well, at least financially wise, because like personally wise, it seems like he has a lot of demons. He himself has actually admitted that, he he has, suffers from depression and shit like that, right? One of the richest persons, but yeah, suffers from depression. It's crazy, you know. He has a lot of battles and struggles that and it's like, but he brings them upon himself though, so it's not like not like people are gonna feel sorry for his ass. What's going on here, man? I'm new here. What's going on? Just chilling, my boy. We just chilling. We just chop it up. Are you an ex-gang member? I am from a gang. Yes. Uh, joined joined the Tortilla Flats when I was 9. You did? Well, yeah, that was. Well, I didn't join when I was 9, but I joined my neighborhood when I was 11. I was gonna be 12. I was almost 12. It's like about 3 days away from 12 years old. Even the new, it seemed like the big U organization was a mafia style. I know, that's crazy. Because of the similarities, right? Because of the similarities that they display, but to say that that's actually what was happening is not true, though. Um, but obviously, if in order to try to convict him and to get people to view it from their point of view, they gotta paint it that way. But to actually like really sit down and actually compare what Big U was doing to what like these established mobs have done is ridiculous. Where you were in the game called? No, I was not from Tortilla Flats. I think that individual is from Tortilla Flats. Um, he's not an ex. No. Wait, so this guy is still in the game? Is that right? That's good. You should, and you shouldn't be, because you get nothing good out of it. And this is facts. Now, just because I have made bad choices and you know have chose my path doesn't mean that I encourage people to choose the same path and advertise and promote individuals to choose this path. You know, there's a difference, and people could say that's hypocritical, and I understand it. But it's just the way it is. I never said it wasn't. Órale, saludos. Hey, gracias, my boy, Big T. Uh, what do you do if your girlfriend cheats on you with your best friend in the relationship? Because out of all the people, the fact that they chose your best friend speaks volume in itself, right? Compared to like if it was just something in the spur of the moment that happened at work, they met somebody or some shit like or some stranger, right? But the fact that they chose somebody who's connected to you like that, speaks to the fact that they're trying to hurt you more than you think, right? Like it's that in itself speaks higher to the cheating. The fact that who they cheated on you with. You get what I mean? Shows that they have no respect for you. Shows that they truly, because they try to devastate you, in the biggest way possible. That's why they chose that person because they could have chose any other man. For women, it's easy that way. Um, for them to how could I get hook up with somebody compared to like a man. You know, so the fact that they chose a best friend, says a lot about their character, right, and what they think of you. Who's your favorite Chicano rapper from the IE area? Mine from the IE area, without a doubt, is Seldom Seen. Seldom Seen is my favorite from the IE. It's not even close. As a matter of fact, nobody even comes close. With all respect. Seldom Seen's lyrical skills on the mic, it's just these individuals are just he is so far ahead. It's not even funny. That individual's underrated, you know, um, and very skillful. Is there an restaurant SMV called? Oh, they should check it. Oh, serio? Oh shit. I'm calling ICE to come get you. Shut up, nerd. They should stay loyal to wanting the better for human. Yeah, but that doesn't only just mean like street individuals. That speaks in society in general because, you know, one of the things that blows my mind is like, you know, all the hate, you know, that's in the world, right? And I'm not just saying that's displayed by gang members, right? Because you even see it from you know, civilians when it comes to the political side of things, right? Especially when Trump took office, the disconnection between the Democratic sides and the Republican side, right? Where you have, you know, people rallying and they're you know, having fist fights and people getting jumped and hit with weapons and you know, rioting and burning jobs and cities down and you know, wanting to verbally and physically assault somebody just because they voted for whatever individual they felt was the right individual to be running the country, and the fact that they can't even bother to sit down and actually listen to these individuals or even compliment them on anything that they say, right? But yet they'd be like, why can't you guys put your differences aside? You know, like why can't you guys, you know, just, you know, put all this dumb shit to the side? And it's like, well, I could tell you guys the same shit though. Like, why can't you guys, you know, put your differences aside? And it's like, oh no, because these fools are fucking idiots, man. Donald Trump's an idiot, and or you know, Biden's an idiot, you know. And it's like the day you guys can actually sit down and actually, you know, come and agree and meet and everything, then you can tell us, you know, how we should be doing stuff. Because if not, then what are we doing? Same with the thing they say about, you know, street gangs and stuff like that, right? Claiming territory that's not theirs, which is true, right? But yeah, we have imaginary borders, imaginary countries, because these lands really don't belong to no country. No magical being came from the sky and actually said, from here and here's America, from there and there's Russia, and everything like that, right? These individuals came, conquered, and took it by force, established men with weapons, right, to claim this as theirs, right? And if anybody tries to say otherwise, they will get dealt with, you know, by force, right? And you see these groups clash and shoot and kill each other, killing people that they never met a day in their life because, you know, the United States military, Marines and everything, when they're out there in battle, the opposition, whether it be Russia, China, Afghanistan, it doesn't matter. They never met those soldiers a day in their life. And those soldiers have families too. They have loved ones, you know, mom, dad, kids. But yet they're killing each other. A person they never met a day in their life. And they're killing them. For what? For lands that don't belong to them? For what? For resources? Money? So for money. Yet these individuals are given holidays and cheered and are called heroes. When I don't see the difference. Because nobody has the right to take another person's life regardless. You know, the matter. Oh, well, these people get, you know, tuitions and they get paid, and it's like, oh, so that makes it okay to now kill these individuals, right? Because these people really have no say so in their disputes or how, you know, because they can't come to the table and agree, right? So because they have, you know, a fallout and a disagreement, they're going to send all these people who never met these people a day in their life to go kill each other because they can't agree. And they listen to them without even questions. They call us stupid for what we do. You get what I'm saying? So it blows my mind that people don't see the connections, right? Or don't understand. Nobody has the right to take anybody's life, regardless of the matter. But yet you cheer for one and you outlaw the other. It's a trip. You'll be like, well, gangs are, you know, throwing drugs out there and this, and it's like the military is actually killing people, bro. You know, because war is not like how people think in the movies where they're in this abandoned open fields. And no, these wars are fought in cities that these people are living in, right? The Americans are oblivious to this because the battles are not happening here, right? But in their countries, you know, women and children and everything are, you know, get killed by stray bullets and stuff like that, right? And they casualty of war, you know? When they dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, all those people, what the fuck did they have to do with Pearl Harbor or the government's decisions? Nothing. They probably even disagreed with their government's decision. But America still dropped the bomb and killed all these people. Elderly, pregnant women, children, dogs, everybody. Where had to go. And why? And yet they call these people heroes, bro. That's murder, over here, how people are saying. Because no gang has ever, killed at that magnitude. Or that many, for that matter. Or innocent people. They kill actually other gang members. The people that people want them to die anyway. So I would figure that, well, they're doing you the favor, no? Right? But like I said, bro, it's at the convenience that people want to play these games. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my lunch break is over. We got to get back to it. It was good jumping it up with you guys, and we out.